Welcome to the Refine and Shine, the podcast dedicated to mastering the art of continuous improvement and optimizing every aspect of your life. I'm Angelina Rivera, your host, and together we'll uncover the secrets to refining our lives, our habits, and our processes to unlock our inner brilliance. Join us on Refine and Shine, where we'll delve deep into achieving more in life without the burnout and without all the stress. This podcast is your platform for a more fulfilling life through continuous improvement and personal growth. In each episode, I and a diverse array of guests discuss practical strategies for up-leveling every aspect of your life. From developing good habits and organizing your space to refining your mindset and personal goals, we're going to explore it all. Our guests share personal stories about the systems they've developed or systems they've used and the tweaks they've made in their lives when refinement was needed, allowing them to truly shine. Listen to Refine and Shine to learn how you can implement continuous improvement techniques in your daily routine, develop and maintain healthy habits that lead to success and satisfaction, organize your life to reduce the stress and increase your productivity, foster a growth mindset that propels you to new heights. My mission is to inspire you to take bold action, make positive changes, and become the best version of yourself. Whether you're aiming to elevate your career, nurture meaningful relationships, or enhance your overall well-being, Refine and Shine is your guiding light. With over 25 years of experience in continuous improvement, I help businesses streamline their processes, establish efficient work areas, and implement standard work protocols. I have trained over 600 individuals and teams in process improvement, optimizing workflows, and enhancing overall operational efficiency. Tune in every week as we embark on an enlightening journey, exploring paths to refinement and illuminating the way to shine in every area of our lives. Subscribe now and join us on this journey to polish your life and let your best self shine through. Thank you for joining us on Refine and Shine. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Refine and Shine podcast. I'm super excited about my guest today. I've heard him speak numerous times at virtual events and then got to hear him numerous times in person. And I just really say that there's always going to be that one person that you hear speak who's really just going to make a change in your life. And my guest today is one of those people. My guest today is Rudi Riekstins. He is a leader of leaders. He's called upon by business leaders, owners, and personalities who crave a deeper connection to their team and mission. From a hungry startup entrepreneurs to the world's most powerful CEOs, Rudi has primed thousands of people to achieve unprecedented success in their business and personal lives by integrating a highly specialized, mindful approach to business that Rudi's perfected over 2 decades of leadership training. Featured alongside Tony Robbins as a Thrive Global Top 5 coach and with Dr. Joe Dispenza and Deepak Chopra as a top 20 thought leader, Rudi Riekstins is a world-renowned for his expert leadership training. He is also the co-host of Empowered Life podcast, which educates leaders and individuals on how to tap into their personal power, lock deep within, and align themselves with their purpose for joy, success, and self-mastery. Thank you, Rudi, for being on today.
I am honored and excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Angelina. I think you are an absolute joy out and in the world, and to share some space with you is just a gift. The fact that there's your audience listening is just an added bonus. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. What I love about how you teach and how you coach, you don't just coach, you tell a story, a real life example, and then you just tie it into so many great things. And I know from hearing you speak and a lot of times that you didn't always have the best of life, right? You didn't have all the things that everybody thinks. Like they can see you today and you're like, wow, he has it all. But I think that's what a lot of people think about people, but they don't understand the growth that it took to get you to where you are today. So can you talk to us a little bit about your journey from wherever you want to start to how you got to where you are today?
I think that the question is beautiful. And every time somebody asks me a similar styled question, I always want to make sure that whoever's listening to this is going to get the maximum benefit out of the response, because we can hear somebody else's story. We can read a biography of some famous individual who has achieved some semblance of success in life and say, well, that's a fascinating story. But I think that the stories, as you beautifully and eloquently mentioned a moment ago, is that the reason I tell so many stories or share stories is because we really do learn through story. But the only way that we learn through story is if we somehow see ourselves inside of that story. And so my intention is, my goal is, my hope is that whoever's listening to this doesn't hear Rudi's story. They ask, where is that story present in their life, and how can they create that shift, and how can they create that change? I was born and raised in a beautiful home in South Africa. And when I say a beautiful home, I don't mean physically, structurally. I mean a loving home. Two loving parents, still married today. I have two brothers, so we were three rambunctious boys running around this beautiful coastal town of South Africa. But we did not grow up with wealth. And we grew up in a town where a lot of our friends were very successful. Their parents had a tremendous amount of income. And so there was a clear defining line between what we did not have and how much they had. I remember a memory going to my friend's house at, I think I must have been, I could say maybe 8 years old. And her mom said, just grab something to drink. We're having lunch. Like, she made sandwiches. She's like, just go to the fridge and get something to drink. And so I opened up the fridge in the kitchen and she said, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I closed the fridge again. She said, the drink fridge. And I was like, the drink fridge? And so there was another fridge in the kitchen I hadn't noticed. And she's like, no, that fridge. So I opened that and it was like a store fridge, stocked. There was layers of cans of Coca-Cola, of these, Fanta drinks. There was just all kinds of soda choices. And I stood there and I was like, people have cans of soda in their houses? Like that's a thing? I remember going to the bathroom, and this is a different home, different experience. And, my friend's mom had 5 or 6 different shampoo bottles in the shower where we were showering as boys. And I was thinking, people have more than one bottle of shampoo? Like, this was not the reality that I had been raised in. Now, both of those examples I gave you are really silly. And I choose these intentionally because when I noticed that, wow, you could actually have soda in a house, like that wasn't a thing exclusively reserved for a restaurant, which we didn't get to go to often. It was more that I noticed this and processed it as, why don't I have those in my home? Why am I not worthy of having multiple bottles of shampoo to choose from? Why am I not worthy of 15 bottles of deodorant or cologne in the bathroom? Why do I not have these secondary fridges with all of these things? And I started to identify that I wasn't worthy of having nice things because I went home to a loving home, but I didn't look at love as value and love as worth. I looked at, well, we don't have nice fancy jeans and nice fancy shoes. And today I have a collection of Nike Jordans, and I have like an obsession with whatever I put on my feet. And my wife laughs at me and she says, you're such a boy, because I have a wall of these shoes. But it's because as a child, I never could afford to have a pair of Nikes. That was like the impossible dream, was to own a pair of Nikes. I was 17 years old when I had my first pair of Nikes, and they were a secondhand pair of shoes that I bought off a friend. And he was one of these rich kids whose parents would buy him brand new shoes every week, every 2 weeks. And so he just sold them for like money for the weekend. And so I spent my entire life identifying that everything around me was validating that I wasn't worthy. I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't good looking enough. I didn't have any talent. I didn't have any ability. And yes, I wasn't worthy of having money either. And so I grew up identifying with all the wrong things. It wasn't until much later in life that I realized, man, I had a loving home and most of these kids did not. I grew up in a safe environment. My parents were not screaming and shouting and fighting and drinking. And so I really did have a beautiful, rich, abundant life, but my life was perfectly designed in order to prepare me to grow up to feel like I was completely disempowered. Today, I work with some of the elite to support them to achieve their highest and their greatest potential. I have a community where I support individuals who are aspiring to live their highest and their greatest potential. I work with individuals or entire teams, and the one common thing, regardless of whether they are the highest level income earners in society today, or athletes or celebrities, or whether it's people with inside my community or one-on-one programs, every single person I come into contact with at some point in time They don't trust themselves. They don't think they're good enough. They don't think they're worthy. A few moments ago, I hung up from a call with somebody. It was an introductory call to speak to me, who has a cooking show on the Food Network, who has published 3 or 4 books, has hundreds of thousands of people on mailing lists and social platforms. And they turn to me and say, I don't think I'm worthy. Like, why am I not worthy? And I am so beautifully and uniquely qualified to say, gosh, man, I see you. I see you because I used to be you. And I think there's so much value in that we look at life through the wrong lens. I want your audience to imagine that you're wearing a pair of reading glasses right now, and your life is filtered through this lens, and you see everything a certain way because that's the view you have. But there is a possibility where you either replace those lenses with another lens, or you remove them altogether, and then the world is brighter, more beautiful, more abundant, more joyful, more freeing. And when you notice that you can choose to look at life through one lens versus another, and you intentionally pick the new lens, that's where all of the abundance, the joy, the fulfillment, the freedom, the exhilaration, the love, the accolades, the money, yes, the money, because that's what everyone's chasing. All these things come to you naturally and organically. But it wasn't somebody else that came to me that gave me any of these things. It was me doing the inner work, me sitting with myself, and me asking the hard questions. And that was the peeling back of the layers that allowed me to remove the lens that wasn't serving me, so I could actually look at all of the joys and the abundances that were immediately available to me, so I could grow and expand those to become businesses and clients and books, etc.
I love that. And I think that that's so important because people think as wealth as money, and it could be the abundance of having a loving family, 2 loving parents. My life was a little different. I did grow up, and we grew up as well in extreme poverty. I was born at home in the poorest neighborhoods you could live in, and when I was in my hometown. And I saw my friends have 2 parents. My parents divorced when I was very young, but all my friends had all these loving parents. And I always thought, like, well, look at how this great life that they have, or all these things. And I didn't until later realize, and a few years later, when I was probably maybe in my teens, how hard my mom worked for us to have the life that we had, and just appreciate that all the things that she gave to us. Like, she was really instilled in us education so much that I remember watching her get her bachelor's degree. I was probably 5 years old. And that was the first time we ever went to a restaurant, like a steak restaurant. I ordered a hamburger because I was like so excited. But I remember all those details so vividly. And it was like, it doesn't matter the wealth that you have, like the money, the things like that. But just to see your mom achieve a dream that she had was such impacted me so much that it inspired me to, even though I had lots of obstacles in my life, that I wanted to make sure that I got that degree when I got my bachelor's. And it took me a long time, but I had my kids there. And it was one of those things, like, you can buying things all the time doesn't necessarily show love, or doing all those things. It's how are you intentionally present? How are you showing up? And all the thoughts that we have about not being worthy and all of those things, how can we shift those things?
People need to have a little bit of understanding of the human brain in order to create these shifts, because unfortunately, most people are looking for an external shift in order to create a shift or in order to create a change. And if you're looking externally for your life to change, it's never going to change. You have to have a little bit of, well, to start, you have to have an additional level of awareness of who you've been and why you've been the way you've been, and why you feel the way that you feel, and why do you view things that you view the way that you do, because they're all instruction. But you have to have a semblance of an understanding of the human brain. I know this is the most boring topic for most people, but it's the most exhilarating topic for me, because there's all your freedom, there's your power. You have a single thought, and that single thought has to be turned into a chemical so the brain can tell the body how to react and respond. And that interaction is called emotion. And so you think a thought, you have an emotion, and then you feel the emotion, and then that emotion drives your behavior, and that sets the dominant energy frequency around you. And most people have limited awareness to their thoughts, because 95% of all thoughts are unconscious. They then react and respond to the emotions they're feeling. They don't know why. I will have people say to me, they wake up in the morning and they're depressed and they're anxious and they're nervous and they don't even know where it's coming from. Well, it's coming from them thinking about all the things that are not working in their life, everything that's gone wrong and what happened yesterday and what's in their inbox, and creating stories and narratives. And then the brain's going back in time and it's thinking of all the times that they thought and felt similarly, and they react and respond the way they did in the past. And we have to be able to create that shift or create that change. And the only way to do that is to manually do that. We have to intentionally choose to shift how we think and how we feel. And so I teach a number of processes of either how you can, through terminology, put a stake in the sand that says, I'm worth more and I won't tolerate that anymore and I'm going to stop that behavior. And so you choose to shift it. I teach a priming process where you can, in the mornings, go into your mind and change and elevate your emotional state so you think and feel differently, which literally changes how your brain is going to process the rest of the day. You will show up more courageous. You won't look at that situation from yesterday as a victim. You'll actually look at it as, well, there's opportunity and how can I navigate it? I say these things because when you look at a situation differently, you're going to think about it differently, you're going to feel about it differently, and then you've changed the pattern. So you're going to do something that's different. The majority of people are literally running around and they're living a life of insanity, which is doing the same and expecting a different result. And we're doing it again and again and again. I liken it to walking down the street and a man is headbutting a wall, and you stop him and you say, hey, how's your day going? And he goes, man, my head hurts. And you're like, why are you headbutting the wall? And he's like, I don't know. And he just keeps headbutting the wall and saying, but my head hurts. And he keeps headbutting the wall. That is almost 98% of people on the planet. They are doing the same thing, reacting the same way. The scene or the situation might change, but they're not creating the change. So your question was really, how do we create that shift? Well, you have to have the understanding or the awareness to, you are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. You are the awareness to the thoughts, the awareness to the feelings. And if you can really understand what I just said, it's a truly deep and profound spiritual truth. You are the awareness to the experience. And when you have an emotion and you feel a certain way, it feels like it's you, viscerally you, because you feel like it's in you, but it's not. You are just the awareness to what is happening in the body. And when you realize that you have an emotion and you have a reaction, that reaction and that emotion and the initial thought that created that actual ripple effect is just a automatic program of how you thought and felt when you were 7, and then again 8 and 10 and 15, and it just continues to be the pattern. But if you were to pause and to say, why do I feel the way that I feel? Like, what is the emotion I am feeling right now? And identify that emotion. Earlier today, I was speaking to somebody who's going through a very grueling divorce process. And I said, what is your dominant emotion that you're feeling right now? And they said, stuck, like they feel stuck. And so I use that example because I want you to think about this. If your dominant emotion is that you're stuck, you're a victim, you're out of control, you're not going to create a shift and a change yourself, what are you creating in that moment right now? Your brain's going back and it's looking at all of the times in your life that you felt stuck, and it's reminding you. And every time you go back and your mind thinks of it, that's unconscious. You're not aware of it. But it's producing the emotions again and again so that you feel even more that way. And then you feel validated that way. And then you actually start to convince yourself that you are that way. And now you've created a belief. So a belief is just a thought that we keep thinking. We can hear that, but if we fully understand it, that's where the freedom comes. If I asked you, what is a belief around anything? I'm going to ask you, where did it come from? Why do you have that belief? You believe the sky is blue. Why? Because at some point in time, somebody came to you and said, oh my God, Angelina, the sky is blue. And you were like, oh my gosh, the sky is blue. And under the age of 7, all information is received by the human brain as a fact. So we just assume, yes, everything under that age, that is the way that it is. Well, I bet you if you go back to your childhood, your mom probably said money doesn't grow on trees. My dad said to me, children should be seen and not heard. And people that have money have done bad things to get it. And we aren't worthy of that. And money doesn't come easy. And so we create all of these narratives around our lives. I distinctly remember a conversation of one of my family members saying, oh, we're just not lucky. Meaning the family collectively is just not lucky. I remember being in my 20s and somebody said something to me and my response was, oh, but, and I finished that sentence. You'll notice I won't say it today. But I finished the sentence as if that was my identity, and I caught it. And I was like, whoa, I just said what I heard growing up. Like that, do I even believe that? And there's the formula. Do I even believe that? Like, here's a real phrase, and it's one of the most powerful phrases you're ever going to hear. If you only use this in your life and you never read another book, you never listen to another podcast, you never do another form of self-development, if you just did this, your life would change. Is it even true? Those 4 words. Is it even true? Is it even true is instructing your brain to be conscious, so you're not running the 95% program, and you're asking the question, is that belief true? Is it true that you're not lucky? Is it true that you're not worthy? Is it true that it's never going to happen for you? Is it true that you're going to put this work out into the world and no one's going to care? And then when you ask that question, you really start to think about it. And then you might be like, well, no, it's not actually true. Well, what is true? When you ask the question, what is true? What is your new belief? Now you're thinking along a new thought. So you've changed the program. So what is true? Well, I got emails from someone that said that podcast that I put out that only had 10 downloads, but 3 people out of those 10 messaged me and said that's what they needed to hear today. So you know what? People do need to hear what I have to say. And so now you know that the thought of no one cares, well, they do care. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Actually, 3 people really needed to hear more than hear. 10 people showed up, so they want, and you start to rewrite those beliefs. The beautiful part of that is that when you start to do that, those 3 people turn to 30, the 30 turn to 3,000, the 3,000 turn to millions, and your life begins to create impact. But you have to stop giving your power away. And I don't mean you, I mean everyone, the audience. I need you to stop giving your power away. You have lived the life that you've lived because it has been divinely curated that way. I believe you were created for the sole intent to come here to create the life of your dreams, to create a life of impact. But at some point in time, you needed to forget who you were. You needed to forget that you were capable and brilliant and divine, and you can have and be and do and achieve anything. And the best thing that I could say is that when you wake up and you realize, oh my gosh, all this time I've been telling myself the lie. I have believed that I wasn't good enough, or that I wasn't worthy, or that I can't charge, or who's going to pay me, or no one's going to listen to me, or I could never move that forward, or I'm not lucky, or I'm not talented. And you stop saying that and you start to ask yourself, is it true? No, it's not. What is true? What is my truth? And you have that thought. And then you look for evidence to reinforce that thought. And then you think that thought again, boom, you just created a new belief. And that new belief is serving the version of you who you are aspiring to be or who you want to become. And then you string that thought again and again and again and again. Before I stop, I want to just touch on something, because so many people think self-development is a thing you do one time and then you're fixed. And I want you to know there are so many times in my current day where I will believe, oh, no one's going to do that. I'm going to launch something and I have the thought, I'm not worthy to put that out into the world. What if nobody buys it? What if nobody shows up? What if nobody listens to this episode? Last month, we had 800,000 people listen to my podcast. And then I'll have a thought that says, oh my gosh, what if nobody listens to what I have to say? What if my message isn't worthy? And I want people to hear this. I have those insecure thoughts. I have those remembrances from my childhood. I have that feeling of it's never going to happen. And my job is to go back and say, oh, wait a minute, Rudi, where have people listened to you? Oh my gosh, just last month. Let's look at the downloads. Oh, how many people are in your community? Oh, how many books have you sold? How many people have attended these events? How many letters have you got? And so you need to manually look for the new evidence to reinforce it, because those beliefs come up. They're a part of you. The question is, how long do you spend time listening to them? How long do you actually believe the lie? And how quickly do you shift it? And so transformation is really an ongoing thing. You re-engage the thought or the belief that you really want to have.
I love that. And that's kind of the theme, like, like my podcast, it's refine and shine, because we're always constantly having to refine in order to shine today. It's not just a one-stop fix. You have to continue to do the work. You have to put in the reps. You have to show up every day. And I think that that's so important.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really love, one of the stories that you shared before, is how you wanted to become a millionaire by the age of 25, I believe,
Yep.
you started that when you were 12, I believe. You had that, and so how did you go through that? What was your thought process? You have so many examples of how you've really dived into just believing these things that you wanted for your life, and could you share that story?
I really can. I was 12 years old in school, and the teacher was asking all of the students to stand up one at a time and declare who were they going to be when they grew up. Like, I want to be a fireman, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a teacher, whatever the kids were going through at the time. And I remember sitting there thinking, who do I want to be? Like, what do I want to be? And I was looking around at all the kids sitting in the room, and my life and my family and my environment and our income, and I jumped up when it was my turn, and without even thinking about it, I said, I want to be a millionaire at 25. And all the kids started laughing. And I don't know if they laughed because I jumped up because I was, so excited to announce this to the world, or if they laughed because they were like, this idiot's never going to make this kind of money. Like, who does he think he is? But I internalized that as they laughed at me because I wasn't worthy. And so internally, I made a vow to myself, you know what? I'm going to be a millionaire by 25. Because to me, I felt that if I made $1 million, I would be worthy. People would see me, they would respect me. And if they respected me, I would finally be enough. You know, 16, 17 years old, which was years later, my friends for their birthdays were getting cars, they were getting boats. I have two friends at 17 years old, their parents built them their own home on their properties. Like, just like think about that level of income. And here I was sharing a bedroom with my brother, like very different, upbringing. And so here are these kids with extreme wealth, and I didn't really fit in with them. And I didn't feel like I was good enough. They were highly intelligent. They were really good looking. They were very talented in sport. They were talented in acting and all the extracurricular things. And I was just like, I have no talent. I have no ability. I'm not from the same level of income. I don't get the same grades. I work hard. It doesn't work for me. And so I just assumed I'm not good enough. But in my little mind, if I made money, well, then I would be equal to them in money. And I would finally be able to rub shoulders with them. And then finally they would respect me. And so I walked around telling everybody that would listen to me for my entire high school career, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be a millionaire by 25, millionaire by 25. I had it stuck on a piece of paper on the inside of my closet door. So when I opened my closet door, I would read millionaire by 25. And I'm not kidding you. Every single closet door I ever had all the way through my 20s was that sign, I'm going to be a millionaire by 25. And I was very much intentioning and then taking committed action to be a millionaire by 25. My friends left school, they all toured, they took a year off, some of them went to college, but I went straight into work because I was committed to making $1 million by 25. I sadly did not make $1 million when I was 25 years old or by my 25th birthday, but I had done it by my 26th birthday. And I got a letter from my younger brother on my 26th birthday, and he said, I am so proud of you. He's like, you did it. Like, wow. And that was really the first time I realized, oh my gosh, I actually did it, because I had forgotten that goal by 24, 25, 26. I was just too busy working. And then I sat down in my bed and I started crying, and I had that realization of like, oh my gosh, I finally did it. I later had a dinner for myself. I just bought a 2-story loft apartment, and it was, a beautiful brand new building, towering everybody, 2 levels at the top. I'm supposed to feel like the king of the castle. But when I sat down for dinner and I looked out of these double-story windows, glass windows looking down on the building below, I had that realization. I'm still the 6-year-old kid who didn't feel like he was good enough, didn't feel like he was worthy, didn't feel like he was worthy of anything, and that he didn't matter. And I started looking at the relationships around me. I had a girlfriend that I was pretty sure was cheating on me, but I was still dating her. I had 2 friends that were really close friends of mine. One stole $30,000 from me. The other was around $18,000. They would say to me, oh, yeah, 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 I'll give it back. Oh, yeah, I'm doing this thing. Oh, yeah, yeah, I've got this thing coming up, and I'll come back to you. And they just avoided me. And I tolerated them all the time because I didn't feel like I was good enough to have a better relationship. I didn't feel like I was good enough to have better friends. I didn't feel like I was worthy of a relationship where my partner wasn't cheating on me. And yet I had money. And so I was like, so money doesn't make you feel worthy. Money doesn't make you respected. Money changed nothing. And that was a very sombering moment for me to be sitting in this castle, so to speak, and realizing, wow, I'm still broken. And so that really was the beginning of my inner journey of asking the real questions like, am I worthy? Is there value to me? Is there value to my life? And stacking the evidence and rewriting that narrative of what had been my belief. I didn't know it's what I was doing at the time. I didn't intentionally sit down to rewrite my beliefs, but I had got really tired of living the same life, of feeling the same way, and of nothing filling that cup. And that was really for me a really beautiful part of my life. There's an interview with Jim Carrey where he is quoted saying he wishes every single person on the planet could be a multi-millionaire and could have every single one of their dreams realized and could be famous beyond belief, that everybody knows them, everybody reveres them. And his wish is that everybody could have that so that they realize all of that doesn't make you happy. So you can eventually stop worrying about that and just be happy. And that was really my journey, was realizing like, gosh, man, I've put all my worth into just moving forward financially. And there is no value in that at all, because I wouldn't have had health and wealth and well-being and quality relationships. And so it's a beautiful story. Thank you for asking.
Well, I love that. And I love all the things that just every time I hear you talk, there, you just inspire me. And I love all the programs that you have. I'm part of your Empowered Life community. And before we wrap up, can you talk? One, I want you to share one thing about how people can refine and shine. And then today, some action they can take. And then also how people can get in touch with you to be in part of one of your programs.
Firstly, I just want to say I am very proud of you as an individual, because I think that our lives are not so much about us. Your life is not about you growing up poor and not having the structure and the foundation and having to overcome it. It's that when you overcome that, you can turn around, teach it, uplift and inspire, move and motivate people. And you're doing it so beautifully. You are a shining light out in the world. And I know that's part of your branding, but it's not by accident that there is this beautiful emanating light shining through you. My life, same, was just about me overcoming the limiting beliefs of who I thought I was, so that I could step into my knowing of who I want to be, and I could become a greater extension of God flowing to me and through me to create greater impact. And I just want to encourage you just to continue to shine your light all day, every day, in every single way. And the more people can spend time with you and in your space and immerse themselves with you, the more light and free that they're going to feel, because that's really who you are and how you show up. I am going to give you a tool which I think is going to support you as the listener in shifting your life in an immediate state so that you can create freedom. If you are struggling right now, or there's an area of your life where you do not have the fulfillment, the freedom, the joy, the abundance, the love, the respect, whatever it is that you are hoping to attain, if you are in that place and that is your focus, meaning you thinking about it and you're stuck and you feel the pain and the anguish, that emotion is keeping you trapped in where you are. But what few people know is that in the first 20 minutes of the day, you can literally change your brain. You can alter it. And I alluded to it in the beginning of this episode today. You can go into your mind in the very beginning of the day, not touching your phone, not talking to a spouse, not turning on the news, not reading a scripture. Go into your mind and then elevate your emotional state. And so here's the technique. You close your eyes. Once you're out of bed, out of your sleep environment, you go sit somewhere, you close your eyes, and you breathe in and out as if you're drawing in more clear, calming white light into your body, and you're releasing stress and anxiety. And you do that for 4 to 5 minutes. If thoughts come in, let them go. Say thank you for the thought. Come back later. You just continue to breathe in white light, breathe out stress. In white light, breathe out stress. And feel your body becoming more calm and more relaxed. And then once you feel relatively calm and neutral, I want you to have a fantasy, like fantasize about a future potential. Everyone's had a sexual fantasy where at some point in time they imagined a scene and their body literally changed, the heart raced, the palms got sweaty, And that's just the brain really believing that what you are thinking is actually happening. So the body changes to meet that. Well, what if every day for the first 20 minutes you could calm your mind and then fantasize about you being on Oprah Winfrey and being celebrated and rewarded? What if you imagined relief? What if you were going through a difficult time right now and all you imagined was with clarity that you have relief? You cannot believe how easy it turned out, how grateful you are, and you just feel the gratitude flowing throughout your body. And even if you just felt gratitude for the meal you ate for dinner last night, or the roof over your bed, or for the health that you have, or the oxygen that's available to you, and you felt gratitude in your body in the first 20 minutes, you would literally change the energetic frequency around you that will change your next experience. It will change how your brain's going to think. It'll change how you're going to respond. And it is going to set a dominant way for your brain to think and feel and operate the rest of the day. And so we give our power away when we wake up in the morning. 98% of people wake up, they grab their cell phones, they start scrolling. There was a research study that came out that said people actually scroll more than 400 times swiping left before they get out of bed. They will swipe up to 400 times. So that is 400 different forms of stimulation that make them think and feel in a way that they cannot control what's coming in. But if you can choose how you want to feel and know that the brain's going to set that as your dominant state, I'm going to tell you, I've had people come to me that have had no money. They've signed up for my programs. Within 8 months, they've made $1 million. They've fallen in love. They're traveling the world. Their lives changed. And people come to me and say, what did you say to them? I literally had a gentleman reach out to me and say, that guy that you made a millionaire, that you got him to fall in love, tell me what you gave him. And I'm like, I didn't give him anything. Like, I just got him to relax. I got him to leave stress. I got him to connect to freedom and to joy and to abundance and fulfillment. And when I did that, he became calm. And when he became calm, he received inspiration. When he received inspiration, what happened? He came up with a business idea, and then he acted on that idea, and then his life began to change. And so I have a bunch of things that I will recommend to your audience. If you want to learn that technique for yourself, I have an entry-level course that is on my website, and it is really, really easy for people to sign up, go through 8 videos, teaches them the process, and it's under $100. I have a community where people can come in and actually get hour-long trainings. I'm generally training for up to 2 hours at a time because I overgive. But I do this every 2 weeks. And so an hour to 2 hours every 2 weeks where I'm pouring into you. I'm teaching you these techniques that I teach to people that run billion-dollar companies, to people that have extreme wealth and athletes and celebrities. And I'm giving this at such a nominal fee because I want to create the greatest impact possible. And we then do coaching inside of the community where if you have questions, I can literally stop, pause, focus in on you and coach you through a problem that you're going through. Inside of that community, you're going to get access to all my courses. You're going to get access to a meditation. I actually have a meditation on my website for free right now called the Mood Elevator Meditation. And so if you're listening to this and you've never meditated, if you've listened to this and you don't really know how to change your emotions, you don't have to know. Download the meditation. It's absolutely free. It's on my website, rudirieksstins.com. That's RUDIRIEKSTINS.com. And download the meditation, the Mood Elevator Meditation. Close your eyes and follow my prompts. I will ask you to go through a series of breath work, and then I'm going to say, imagine you're stepping into an elevator. The elevator goes up. You open the door. You're now experiencing this emotion, and you just connect to them. It will absolutely, unbelievably, and irrevocably change your life. My work works 100% of the time that people do the work. And my wish for you today is, without spending $1, change your life. Do the breathing, elevate your emotion, and you're on your way. If you need help, get the free meditation, and that will be enough to change your life. Ask the question, is it even true? That will change your life. Or if you're looking to join into a community or you want to work one-on-one with me, I have so many potentials and avenues. But at the end of the day, as the listener, if you want to rise, you want to shine, you want to transform, you want to create impact, at some point in time, you've got to step up to the plate and you've got to declare, who do you want to be today? And then you have to do that again and again and again until eventually that becomes the new version of you. And one day you're going to turn around and say, how on earth did this happen? Like, how did I get to this level and change all these lives and all this recognition and all these accolades and all this abundance? And it's because you're supposed to. If you're listening to this, you're meant to change the world. You listening to this, your job is to change the world. And the only way to do that is to heal from the limiting version of who you were led to believe yourself to be, so you can step into the power of who you are, so that you can follow in the footsteps of Angelina, so that you can start taking committed action and just think about how beautiful it will feel one day to turn around and know that you left the world a better place than you found it.
Well, thank you, Rudi, for all of that. I think it's been a game changer. I've been priming, and it has changed my best thoughts come right after I do my meditation, and then journal what I think, and continually have these positive thoughts of what is it going to feel like when I have this huge 90-day goal that I have? What's it going to feel like when I, walk the land that I want to purchase, or, whatever the thing is that I want to do. I can feel it. And I thank you for all the things that you have provided for us today.
Oh my gosh. I just think about how many lives are going to be changed on that land. For your listeners, I had challenged the community. What would you want to do in 90 days if you could do anything? And, when people start dreaming, oh, I want to do this. I want to produce that. I want to create this. And Angelina said, I want to buy this land. This is what I'm committing to doing. And what I love about it, and why I have no doubt you're going to achieve it, is that you're not saying, I'm going to buy this land for me. You keep speaking to, what will the land feel like? You're going to be working in partnership with this land. You're going to be changing people's lives on this land. And when you are coming from a place like that, there is a force that created the universe that is flowing to you and through you that is going to facilitate, meaning working with you, alongside you, to bring this out and into the world. And I don't think there's anything more beautiful than that, than co-creating with the creator to create. So I am very excited to walk your land with you one day.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate this being on today, and you have such a busy schedule. So I thank you for all that you provided for my audience today.
You're welcome. Thank you for the time.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Refine and Shine. We hope you find valuable insights and inspiration to fill your journey of continuous improvement. Remember, the key to success lies in refining your processes and letting your inner brilliance shine. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback is greatly appreciated and helps us reach more listeners like you who are eager to refine and shine in all areas of life. Stay connected with us on social media for updates and additional resources and behind-the-scenes content. We love hearing from our listeners, so feel free to reach out with any suggestions, questions, or success stories you'd like to share. As we wrap up, remember that the power to transform your life lies within you. Keep striving for growth, embracing change, and seeking opportunities to refine your skills. Together, let's continue to shine bright and make a positive impact in the world. Until next time, keep refining and keep shining.